So, hi all. Today I'm presenting this topic that is the structure of an SQL UDF. So, I have already created many videos on SQL UDF, uh, but here this time I'm presenting the structure of that SQL UDF because there I just use few things in SQL UDF. So, here you'll get the broad idea that what are all things which we can use in our SQL UDF. So let's start. So basically we use the create function for creating a user defined function. So the prototype for that is basically that uses these six things. So first thing is the create function and name of the UDF, and the second thing, let me show you here, which I written. So create function and then the name of the UDF. The second thing is the list of parameters. So you can see the list of parameters. So here I can give the name of that parameter and the data type or even the length, but we cannot specify the CSS IDs or those things, except those things. But here you can see I can also give here only the data types, that depends upon me. 1024, that is 1024 max parameters are allowed as an input parameters to the function. And yes, of course we can specify the default values for them. So what are all those default values? Let me show you that. So the default value can be a constant value, can be a special register, can be a global variable, or can be an expression, or it can be a null. So whenever we specify default keyword with the input parameters, then we can omit that parameter, means that param become optional for us, either we pass them or not, so it depend upon us. Now then it comes return. So in return we can specify the data type which we are returning. So here we should not use the long varchar or long var graphic, except this we can use anything. So maximum so here you can see this is a normal UDF. If I take the example of a UDTF, so this is also a user defined function, but this is the table function, and that was a user defined function which returns only a data type, but here it returns a table. So you can see the difference is just between the return way. So here it returns the table, a virtual table which consists of some columns. So you can see maximum 1025 columns can be returned from this. So either it returns a data type, a single value, or a virtual table consists of max up to 1025 columns. Then the next thing come is function properties, or you can say the option list. Function properties is something which we define when we are creating a function. So let's see language, like language SQL. So if I do not specify language SQL here, so the default language would be SQL. So in case if I would not have defined this, it means I am creating a SQL user defined function or a table function. So it is optional, but we can specify. Then there comes a specific name. So you can see here I didn't use the specific name. Then you can see only the body routine is here, which is the SQL body routine, where we basically write the SQL queries or the logic. So that comes the last, routine body. But before that we have two things, that is function properties and the generation options. So function property, in function properties I mentioned language SQL is used. We can also specify the specific name. So specific name uh, these things will be asked, maybe asked in your interview whenever you are going to give interview and ask some types of questions uh, in the interview regarding the user defined function, that is what is specific. So basically what is specific is, a specific keyword is basically used whenever we are creating a function. So you can see this function can be a name as up to 128 chars. That is, if I define check whether this function is odd or even. So if I write like this, check whether this function is odd or even in a continuation, then it's a long name, it's not up to 10 length. So whenever we create this function using run SQL statement command, a service program object gets created of attribute CLE. Like here in this case, you can see odd, even. So you can see the same name object is created. But what about the case when the name of the function is long? Then system itself uh, provide a unique name to this function when it creates the UDF. So let's see if I have any of that. Let's see this. Not this one, not this one, not this one, not this one. Like this one, fetch even or odd. So if I do work object, I cannot do work object on this because the length exceeds the 10 characters. So let me do a fetch star. There you can see fetch record, fetch even or odd. So you can see for these functions we have the objects fetch 0001, fetch 0002. These are created by system, so we do not have control over this. How we can make control over this is, we need to define the specific, and then the name. So for example, here in this case, if our create function name is this, we can specify here the, as you can see I didn't specify language SQL. Here we can specify here specific and then the name of that, like fetch 01 or fetch a or fetch even or fetch EOD, even or odd, like this. So we can have a control over that what name of the object gets created by the IBM I or the system. So basically specific is very important. So it lets us to describe a function unique name basically. So which is, if we do not use, by default system will generate the unique name based upon the specific keyword. So we can make use of this and we can keep the objects, service program objects, as per our naming standard or what we want. So what happens, what is basic, what is important here is, when we create same name function, for example I have created two functions with the same name and they have a long name up to 128 char. Let's say this, I have created this name function two times, and both times, one time it takes integer as an input and other it takes float or something else, let's say real or say double or let's say decimal, it's taking input. So both the function name are same and they existed in the same schema. Now once I create the function, um, the system automatically gives the specific name to this if I do not specify that. But if I specify that, I know that what is the specific name of that by my own. I don't have to search for that, whether what system has given it a name. Now when we are going to drop that, we can, when we are dropping a function, for example, so what happens when we are dropping a function and we are using this name, let's say this name, this long name, and we are dropping a function, we will be getting error. We'll getting some SQL code that more than one function is present on the system. So how do you going to delete that? So this is one important thing where you can use a specific. However, you cannot call or you cannot invoke a function with the specific name. You have to use this long name. So this name you have to use. Whatever you will be specifying in the specific will not be used. However, if you do not specify specific and the function name is less than or up to 10, the name of the function in the specific name would be same. So this is the important point which one must know, that why we are using specific. It basically lets us to drop a function. I'll surely create one video on how we can drop a function when more than two functions are present, multiple functions are present with the same name. So how we are going to delete a specific function, for example, in that case, so I'll create a video on that surely. Now the next thing is whether it's deterministic or not, debug enabled or not, fenced or not fenced, unfenced, concurrent access behavior, parallelism, external actions, whether the UDF is secured, wrapped, and level of data access, whether the UDF contains SQL, reads SQL data or modifies SQL data. So these are all the list of options. Let me explain all these. So the first thing was language SQL. I explained specific name. I explained that it's give a unique name to the function when more than one functions are created with the same name. Deterministic or non-deterministic means it means whenever you are calling a function, so for example you are passing two parameters and based on that parameter some result is retrieved. So again the next time you call that function with the same parameter, so the if you have specified the deterministic, then in that case what happens, your function will not get called again because you have passed the same parameter and the results are already in the cached memory. They are already cached, so the result will be fetched from cache and your function will not get called. So this is an advantage to you that your performance increases. But in case of non-deterministic, your function will always be called with every parameters, whether it's same or not. So even with the same parameters, you are calling the same function every time, the function will get called. So you need to make sure that when to use deterministic or when to use non-deterministic. So in case, for example, just take where you know that whenever you call with these two inputs you will get the same output, then you use deterministic. And whenever you have no idea that when you provide param1 and param2 as these such values and you would be getting some same value, so maybe every time the data would get changed in that case, so you must use non-deterministic in that case. So for example, if I'm adding 1 plus 2, I know I can use deterministic because I know that 1 plus 2 must always be 3. But in any other case, for example, if I'm fetching some data from a file up for the two combination of input parameters and that file updated regularly, then I don't know whether the data would be same or not. In that case, we need to use the non-deterministic. External action or no external action, external action or no external action. So the default is here is no external action, and in this what happens for example if a function is in itself is referencing some other function, means in itself it is calling some other function and that function is doing some external action like populating, inserting some data into the file, then you must specify external action, else you don't need to specify, you can specify no external action. In that case, reads SQL data, contains SQL, modifies SQL data or no SQL. So if in case your your function, you have written some SQL statements which are reading the data using the SQL query only. So you can mention read SQL data, or if you have the SQL statements but they are not reading or not modifying anything, so you can use contains SQL. If they are modifying anything or doing, then you can specify modifies SQL data and reading also. So if in case there is no SQL in your SQL function, you can specify no SQL. Called on null input returns null input on the null input. So basically you can specify either of these two. So whenever any of the parameter or all of the parameter of a SQL function received as null, then whether it should be called or not. So based upon null, maybe for some parameters maybe you'll get the non-null or null result uh, from your function. So whenever you want to call a function on the null input, you can specify called on null input or returns null on null input. Or sometimes you don't want to call your function when null is received as an input on any of the parameters, so you can specify returns null on null input. So in that case your function will not get called and it will return you the null. Inherit a special register. So if you want to inherit or make use of the special registers in your SQL function, so you can specify this inherit special registers. So it's always be a static dispatch, disallow debug mode, allow debug mode, disable debug mode. Okay, so whenever you use it's basically comes with the fifth option, generation option, that is set option clause. Whenever we use set option and then we use the debug view clause, that is we want that the system to generate the debug view information of the source, then we can specify whether the function can be debugged or cannot be debugged, or the debug is disabled. So we can specify all these parameters: disallow debug mode, allow debug mode, or disable debug mode. So here it allows the debug mode, it disallows the debug mode, and this makes it disable. Fenced or not fenced. Fenced means, so basically it is by default it's fenced, but fenced means, for example, you're executing your UDF and some SQL statement is executing. So whether it should be executed in a separate thread, in a system thread, or in the same thread of that UDF or that SQL statement. So when it is fenced means it is executing in a separate thread. When it is not fenced means it is executing in the same thread in which the SQL statement of that UDF is executing. So it means whenever, if you have used the cursor in your SQL statement and you are reading the data, so in that case your cursor is open and you are executing your SQL statement in the same thread, that is you have used not fenced. In that case your cursor is still open and your performance will get increased. But if you have used fenced, in that case your performance will be decreased, because you are executing your SQL in the separate thread and your cursor will get closed, and every time your cursor will get opened, you have to open the cursor again and again. Your cursor will open again and again, so that will basically uh, performance issue, that makes a performance issue for us. Now allow parallel or disallow parallel. So basically all the functions run in do not run in parallel. So allow parallel is to allow them to run in the parallel, but we must use disallow parallel because they should not run in the parallel mode and they should run single. Concurrent access resolution. So in case of concurrent access resolution, we basically have default use currently committed await for outcome. So here it's always default. So if you want to use the data, So it basically do not set the concurrent access to the data and use the default one. So it would not set that explicitly, but in this case if we specified use currently committed, so it use the committed image of the data while updating the using the SQL statement, or it would wait for the data to be committed uh, till the time it is executing that update SQL statement case. So not secured or secured is something, it's secured or not secured. So secured is something when it is or you can say let me tell you how I can explain this. Not secured, our SQL statements are basically not secured. So let me tell you why. Because we need a row access or column access control over a table. So for example, we are passing some columns, uh, passing some parameters to our SQL statements, and which is referencing a column, and that column is using the row and column access control over that. And then in that case we need a permission. So whenever we need a permission, for example, that column is using the masking. So in that case, if we are using the masking and we must use not secured. So if we are using the masking and we are using not secured, so we must use not secured, because we can get the incorrect results during that, because the column masking is happening at that time. Now wrapped is something, for example, you have written your SQL statement, you have written your SQL function, and what you can do, there is a procedure qsys in qsys2 dot I think generate something like that. There is a procedure, I'll let you know that there is a procedure which can be used to get the encoded source of this SQL function what you have written. So what you have written can be the source can be re-encoded, or can get by the that procedure. So one can call that procedure and retrieve your source, so your SQL function source. So the third party vendors which are creating the SQL functions, they must use this feature, that is wrapped obfuscated statement text, so that one should not be able to retrieve your source code whatever you have written using the uh, generate procedure in sys2. So there is some name before that underscore generate. So I'll let you know in future, or I'll mention in the comments if I found that. So these are all things which are related with the function properties, which you can use based upon your requirements. And this I already explained. This is set option to set the debug view, and here its last one is the routine body. That is the main important thing, is the routine body, where I always have the single SQL statement, and here I can specify the return, select, insert, update, delete, or SQL compound statement like if, when, case, or for, and all those things. Let me show you, like return, case, select. So all these things we can use here, so that must have at least one return. So this is all about structure of or the prototype for this SQL UDF. And the most important thing is here, the last thing which is left is For example, if you're creating a same name function in the same schema, so that the signature must be different. So what is signature in that case? Signature is basically the combination of your function name. It can be same with other, and the schema name, it can be same. The number of parameters could be same, but the data type of each parameter must be different. So either the number of parameters are differ, or the data types of each parameter differ. So this way your signature would always be unique. So it does not consider any length or precision or scale, etc. So or the CCS IDs. So if you have taken a same length, different length data, but the signature would always be same in that case. The signature must be unique always. One more important thing is float. So you must not use float or numeric. Instead you use decimal or double or real, because it basically issue when you want to port your db2 function. For example, you have created a db2 function in IBM and you want to port somewhere else in some other systems. So you will face issues in that way when if you are using the float or numeric in your SQL functions here. So you must use decimal, double or real in that case as the alternative, so that you could be easily able to port, because these data types are available there, and I think these two, float or numeric, are not available in other systems. Any other thing? I think all things are covered. This is the option list which I explained just, and this is the routine body, which where you can use all these things. So that's all in this video. I think uh, I should let me see if so that's all in this video. I think everything is covered. I have explained each and everything. So thank you and have a nice time.